Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to be interviewing one of my clients. In fact, this client is the first client to come into a chronic illness trial that I opened earlier this year. I was really guided to do it, and I opened up this trial and I invited in clients that were suffering with chronic illness, that were really just sick of being sick, that were just sick of being told that their fate was out of their hands, that there was nothing that they could do. So I really reached out to people to really offer a new level of healing from a soul perspective, looking for people, clients that had an open mind, that were ready to become empowered and take their health back into their own hands. And Andy, who the interview is going to follow shortly, was the first person that came into this trial. And we actually started working together on the 24th of March this year, and we did our last session on the 24th of July. But as you'll see in the video, we're still in contact. So this video is going to give you a real deep feeling for what is possible working through this program that I've been creating for many years with clients, and have come to this point in my own growth and cycle that I want to be able to document and create evidence that it is possible to heal yourself with your own body, spirit and soul. So this video is really just me having a conversation with Andy to really talk about his experience in the trial. What are his physical, mental, emotional, spiritual changes during the trial. Right at the very end, the last question that we talk about is the medical results as well. So you can see the medical results at the end as well. So obviously, if you're watching this video, there's something in the title that piqued your interest. Once you watch the full interview, at the end of it, it does then talk about how this program, in a little bit more detail, how the program works. But if you do enjoy this video, perhaps you're watching it for yourself, or perhaps even you're watching it because you've got a family member or a friend, so you could share this video as well. But let's just move into the interview. Right, so Andy, welcome and thank you so much for joining me for this little interview about, about the program, how you've been experiencing it. And I have to say, it was actually your idea to do this, which really shows how much you believe in the process. So thank you for suggesting it, and thank you for being here to do it right now.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's just my way of giving a little bit back to you for all your hard work. It's the least that I can do.
Thank you. Well, I really appreciate it. So let's dive in. So,
Yeah,
what type of MS were you diagnosed with then back in the start? And what was the prognosis? What was the treatment? What was the advice?
yeah, okay. So yeah, in 2021 is when I got the final diagnosis with primary progressive MS. It took about a year of testing. Um, they were told at the end of it that there was no cure. Which, no, there isn't. We agree with that. And at the end of it, then I'm going to end up in a wheelchair, and that was almost guaranteed.
Right.
That's the end of it. Yeah. So we had to go through a year of awful testing, and people with MS will know about all the testing that we've had to endure,
Yeah.
which are not very nice. Um, they did say at the time that there may be a bit of a treatment you could have, but you would have to show that you had active or progressive disease between your MRI scans
Yeah.
when somebody looked at it. But it would only slow down the progression. It wouldn't reverse it. It's not a cure. But the inevitable is still at the end. It wouldn't change anything.
I mean,
So
that must have been, beside the fact that it took a year to get a diagnosis and you had to go through all of those tests, that must have been pretty traumatic going through those tests and waiting a year to find out and then be told, here it is, and there's basically nothing you can do. That must have made you
yeah,
feel quite depressed.
yeah, just a little bit, you could say. Yeah, we'd done a little bit of research before that as we were waiting. So, I mean, a year's a long time to wait. So we've done a bit of research ourselves, but it was only doom and gloom. There was no good news at all. So the life that we'd already mapped out for ourselves and planned and everything had just been put in the bin. And your new life, whatever that's going to turn out to be, is going to be nothing like what you planned initially.
Right. Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
yeah. So obviously when you came to me, what made you decide to come to me and give the program a go? Because it does take someone to have a bit of an open mind, because I'm not a traditional therapist. I am a soul therapist. So we're working with the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual bodies. We're really working with reconnecting back to the true soul self. So what made you open up and decide to give it a go?
Well, after having been depressed and in a dark place for so long, I decided that I'd had enough. I did a bit of research online to find out what other things there were available. Not much, to be honest. And then it was a mutual a person that said, "Well, you might give this a try. It's got to be worth a go." You know, the person's helped me, so they may better help you as well.
Yeah.
So then we thought, well, it's worth a go. I'll try anything.
Right. And when you were telling me about the MS, the type of MS, you said it was actually one that curved up and progressed quite quickly. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a few different types of MS, as the people with MS will know. But mine is a progressive one where it's like, yeah, like a graph where you start at you're okay, and then eventually through your life the graph goes up, you get worse, worse, worse. Whereas the other types tend to be where you would have an attack, you plateau, you may recover a little bit, but then you probably have another attack later on, and you never get back to where you started from.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
whereas mine is like this, yeah,
So when you came to me,
depressing.
yeah, obviously feeling quite down, you were on antidepressants, you didn't really see a future really. And obviously you were very stressed, anxious, which is totally understandable. And obviously feeling a lot of negative thoughts about yourself, because, like we discussed, when we develop some kind of an illness or a disease, there's a lot of programming out there that can make us think, well, this is our negative karma. I must have done something wrong. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Well, people joke, don't they? They say, "Well, I must have been really bad in a past life because I'm being punished for it now." And that's how I felt. Exactly that. Exactly that. And it's no joke.
No.
But now now that we've come through the other side of that, we realise that that is far from the truth. That's nothing to do with that at all.
Exactly.
Nothing to do with that.
Absolutely. So you come to, not only have you gone through this horrendous year of testing, you get a diagnosis which leaves you feeling basically helpless, right? And it's literally like
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
do except go on
There's nothing that they can do.
antidepressants,
Yeah,
right? On these pills. And then not only that, but so not only are you dealing with that, but then internally you're thinking, oh my God, I'm a bad person. I must have done something wrong. I'm getting punished. So that almost compounds everything, right? And takes you to a very dark
yeah,
place. As you go, so obviously going through the program, we're bringing the higher perspective, we're bringing truth. And there's a lot of things that we do through the program. We're alchemizing our beliefs, that we're changing that inner landscape to bring in truth, to reconnect back to truth, because there's a lot of things out there, that illusions that are not the truth, that actually put us into more suffering. And so now that you've been through the program, can you just let us know, sort of mentally, spiritually, physically, how you're feeling, any changes that you've experienced during the program?
yeah. And the first notable thing is that I feel so much lighter in myself, so much lighter. It's just unbelievable. It's just like I'm a normal person again. Um, there's a few different things that we've managed to get rid of as well.
Yeah.
One of the best things for me, obviously, the mental things are a big stumbling block, because you can have the best body in the world, but if you're in a dark, horrible place, then it doesn't really matter. So the brain, yeah, we've sorted the brain out, and also the with the MS, I've had numbness and tingling and stuff down my right arm. I'm being a right-handed person, and that's not the best thing because I end up dropping things, knocking things over.
Yeah.
And now that's about 75% repaired. It's so much better, so much better. Yeah, I can still tell that I've got a bit of tingling in the fingers,
Yeah. Yeah.
but other than that, I can live with that. And this is obviously this is the start of getting there. There's the
Right.
rest of the body to come. So yeah, we're looking forward to that,
Right.
definitely.
And I remember the day when you came in and you was like, I haven't told anyone yet, but I'm starting to feel my arm again, which was
Yeah.
amazing. And also a few things, obviously, during this program, not only do we have the sessions, but we have soul coaching between, right? So we're always keeping in contact between. And I was always like, every time I spoke to you, Andy, you were like, right, I've got this new hobby, I'm doing this again. And it's just like you just became so engaged in life again. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, I can't do all the old things that I used to do because a lot of them were physical, but I'm concentrating on the things that I can do,
Yeah.
and I enjoy doing that now. So yeah, I always allocate a little bit of time for myself
Yeah.
to do the things that I like to do. Yeah, and that's proper brain stimulating to do that
Yeah.
again because obviously for years I haven't bothered with that kind of thing.
Right. And also, even though you can't do exactly the same physical things, you've joined a gym.
Yeah, yeah. I was advised to join a gym, and I thought, well, why would I join a gym when I can hardly walk?
Yeah.
But I enjoy going. I feel
Yeah.
good after I've been. I feel worn out for the rest of the day, but I can force myself into going and doing a bit of physical activity, and that's only going to get better. I hope. So we'll see how we go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think even to a point, right, where you talk about you've done a little review for me, and I love the review, and you talk about the difference between night and day in terms of where you are mentally and also, how you feel about the future.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Initially, we were in a really dark, horrible place where the future was not good,
Yeah.
and we're just fixated on the end of the line, which is we're going to be well, yeah, you're going to end up in a wheelchair, as it is at the moment. Though, after doing all this and we've been instructed and taught that things are not always as they seem like that. I feel so much better in myself. So a complete opposite now. Complete opposite.
Well,
Yeah, so much lighter. Yeah, so much lighter.
I mean,
I've got hope for the future, obviously.
yeah, yeah, to the point where you've actually thinking about doing a triathlon, right? Which I think is
Yeah,
amazing.
well, before all this happened years ago, I was in training to do one anyway.
Right.
So I've done the couch to 5K, and I have a racing bike, and I was up to doing like 30 miles in about an hour and 40 or something.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna then concentrate on the open water swimming bit,
Yeah.
but then all this bit, and that's taken everything away.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, life may as well have ended. I can't do anything.
Right.
But you know, there's ways and means of getting around things. So
Well,
I'm
you've
going to
chosen,
do my own mini triathlon, but I'm going to do it safely in the gym,
right?
and I'll probably do it probably by the end of next year because I've got a
Amazing.
lot of work to do. But yeah,
And that shows the change in mindset and how you're viewing things. And also, one of the things that we go through a lot in this program is how the mind often has been programmed to override what the body needs. Right? We must do more. We must do this. I must work like this. And it's like, and you even had that mindset yourself in terms of, well, we all have this mindset. It's programmed into us. We have to alchemize that, but that is thinking there's this point in the future where you've just got to get everything done, you've got to push yourself. But we
yeah,
learn through this
yeah,
program to actually reconnect back to the body and start listening to what the body needs and start allowing it to have the rest, the space to actually heal, to do its job, because the body has its own intelligence. But often our minds override it and stop that healing. So I'm guessing, well, I know that's been a big change for you to actually accept that your body needs more space, more rest, and to not see that as necessarily being a negative thing, but see it as being something right now your body's going through a healing.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So I was thinking, going back, my life, I sort of imagined everything as a timeline.
Yeah.
So I was here now, and I'm gonna by this point I'm gonna be a wheelchair. So by this point I need to have everything done because when I get to there I'm not gonna be able to do it. But
Wow.
that no. So I've got a big list of things to do still, as
Yeah.
we always do.
Don't we all?
Yeah. And as we cross one off, we get some more put on. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But
But
that's the shift, right? Instead of, because actually the thought pattern of thinking I've got to get that done actually puts the body under more stress and you under more stress, right? So now you're just more relaxed about getting things done, right? Is that true?
well, I've still got the list. I've still got the list, and we're ticking things off slowly. But if I can't do something today, then it'll still be there tomorrow.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, honestly, Andy, I have to say you've been an amazing client to work with because, this program, it's very immersive. You've really got to immerse yourself into it, and there's things that are simple that I ask you to do, but still the mind can off it's a reprogramming of the mind. So, asking you to do these quantum hypnosis healing meditations, you've really dived in every day to a point where I've even been surprised. You're like, I'm doing it here, I'm doing it there, I'm doing it when I'm waiting to pick up my
Yeah, I've been doing it all over. Yeah, yeah. I wonder what would happen if I do it here. Yeah, can I do it out here? Can I do it? I've been out in the garden doing it when I've had a nice day.
Yeah,
Doing it in the car while I'm waiting for grandson at school. So I've been doing it outside of school. So I'll
yeah.
go early and then just turn all off and just do it there.
I
Obviously in the bedroom, downstairs. Yeah.
yeah, it's like so. Is it quite I'm guessing by that it's pleasurable to go into these quantum hypnotic meditations. It's actually a nice process.
It is, yeah, really. I think once you've done it once or twice, I think you'll be hooked. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Once you've done that, yeah, it's a peaceful, tranquil
mm,
resting place. Yeah, and
right.
it's really nice. If you're in there, if you're in there 45 minutes on our time clock, it probably feels like you're only 10 minutes inside there, and
Yeah.
it's not long enough. It's not long enough.
I,
No.
I I remember after doing one of them with you, and between it, we're learning to be in stillness as well. So whilst I'm doing a lot of guiding and I'm guiding you in, there's parts when you get into the hypnotic where I'm really stretching out how long we're in silence and we're in stillness because there's so much that comes from that place. And I do that in a way because often people have got such busy minds, so we have to slowly bring people into that. But I remember you come back and say, I need longer in that space. You need to lengthen it.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
only felt
okay.
like we were in there for a couple of minutes.
I was like, well, it was longer than that, but yeah, I'll widen it because there's so much that you connect. And one of the things you're connecting to there is your own presence, it's your own soul. So obviously, one of the other things which I know you don't mind talking about, but obviously this is not traditional therapy. This is soul therapy. We are connecting back to the divine, back to our divine intelligence, back to our true soul selves, back to our guides. We all have guides, right? But often people are disconnected from the guides due to mind programs, due to many different programs, emotions that are in the body, blocks in the energetic field. They can't even feel the guidance. But one massive thing for you that started to occur is that you really start to feel it's happening now.
Yeah, I know you here. I know you here.
Right.
Yeah. So for a long time before, um, I did believe that everyone had a guardian angel,
And
but
that's true.
now it's a lot more than one. It's a lot more than one. It's
That's true.
not one at all. No. But it's doing it again now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking. Just a minute.
He wants to get him. You can get involved. Send your
I
energy to
know.
this interview.
Yes, send me a message. What do you want me to say? So yeah, yeah, I would feel down either, it could be either side
Yeah.
of my body, like a cold sort of a tingle shiver.
Yeah.
But it would tend to be when I were either watching a particular thing on TV, maybe, or listening to a certain music or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I people think, oh, it's just tingles, but it isn't. It can't be just tingles because it could be at different times. It could be any reason. Like now, I'm talking to you. There's no music. I'm not watching telly, but I've still got the chills down.
Right, and as you're going through it, we're starting to work in that subtle with our subtle energy body. So what you're doing is you're tuning into what's always been around you. A lot of people are so tuned out of their own inner self, they can't feel the energy that is around them. So through
No.
the process, you've started to retune yourself so that you can feel your guide and you can start to get guidance from it. So one of the major things when you came to me, when we looked at your childhood, like, most people that develop disease or illness in the body, you can often look in childhood and it's not a supportive childhood, right? There's a lot of difficulties that people don't realize is even trauma because it's almost normalized. So I know when you came, you had quite a lot of difficulties in childhood. You felt pretty alone and unsupported. But now going through this process that you're so tuned into your guide, and often when we speak, you'll be like, who my guide is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, well, obviously we've talked, you feel so much more support. You realize that there's so much more to this world, right? There's so much support available to you from the divine realms once we open our mind up and start to acknowledge its existence.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Obviously, I've learned a lot while we've been doing this course, and over the last, now we finished the course, I
Yeah.
can start to do my own kind of research and stuff. It's doing it again.
It's like that,
It's
right?
just like yeah. I'm gonna tell her. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, we're here,
Yeah.
but down here we're only here for a very short time.
Right.
So whatever happens down here, yeah, it's bad and it's awful, but it's not going to be forever. So the things that we're going to be going through down here is to learn,
Yes.
and then eventually, if we're lucky enough and we come back, we will learn something else.
And I think as well, Andy, like what you've shown is this, from starting to, you're such a curious person. And like I say, you've just dived so far in and you've been, even through the stuff I've been teaching, you've been connecting to other people. You felt curious, you've been connecting to other spiritual coaches, which is absolutely the right thing to do. You're just branching out, looking, and you're realizing that, we start to realize as we start to reconnect back to our true selves, holy shit, there's so much that we don't know about
Yeah,
that world. And actually, like I say, a lot of the stuff we go through, we've been taught that it's bad if it feels bad, but that's not actually the higher perspective or the truth. So we start to switch that, which brings you so much more, well, lightness, right? You can let go of the heavy emotions that you've carried because you realize they're not actually the truth of who you are, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the stuff that's happened in your past, you can't change, can
Can't
you?
change it, but you can change how you connect to it.
But you can change how you perceive that. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
It's happened in the past. What's done is done. Get rid of it. Move on.
Right.
Make space for something better. Yeah.
Right. And that's a lot of the switch that we go through, right? Because initially when you come, you're feeling I must be bad, I must have done something wrong. You feel all this guilt, you feel all this shame, you're carrying all these emotions, all these
It's a
traumas,
lot of weight. Yeah, you're
a
carrying
lot
a lot
of
of weight. You
weight,
feel very heavy. Yeah.
carrying a lot of energetic weight as we go through. We start to bring in the light, we switch the light on, we start to rearrange the architecture that's been laid down inside, and we start to dissolve the lies because a lot of the beliefs we have are not the truth of who we are. It's not the true perspective on what's happened to us. So as we bring in the truth, you can actually, like you said to me earlier, it's like I can still remember what happened in the past. I don't wipe the memory, but I don't feel the same negative emotion towards it
No,
because I
no.
know that I've got a new story. I tell myself a new higher story, which is the truth. And that allows you to just let the past go. Would you say that's the
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's a big weight off. You feel so much better just for getting rid of that. Yeah,
so much light? I mean,
yeah.
and it shows right in all the, like I say, since I started talking to you, you've joined the gym, you're doing a triathlon, you're getting involved in so many different things. You've got so many passions that you're connecting into. There's just so much that you're actually doing now that you weren't doing at the start.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just so much better. And like I said at the beginning, it's yeah. So it doesn't matter if you've got the best body in the world. If
Yeah.
if the brain, if you don't perceive the world in a different way,
Yeah.
you're always going to be kept down. You're always going to be kept down.
Right. So it's a complete mind flip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely. Yeah, absolutely. And it has a knock-on effect to other people as well, because now you're a lot lighter and brighter, and I think you'll bring a light into other people's lives as well.
100%. And one thing you actually said to me before we started recording, which has just come to my mind then, is that, you said in the beginning you felt, you didn't really want to talk to people. You didn't really want to engage with people.
Yeah,
You were a bit
yeah.
worried about, would the right sentence come into your mind? Would you forget it? And now you don't care about that.
No, no. But that's what I did say that. Yeah, the MS does mess with your brain a little
Yeah.
bit. You forget words. It could be something as simple as the, and you cannot think of the word or you can't say the word. It's weird. So you have to stop and think what else you can say to make the sentence understandable. But before that, I would just rather just not bother and just sit in a corner quiet somewhere and not talk to people because it was easier.
Yeah, of
But
course.
now, but now I'm perfectly happy with chatting.
Right. And it shows, right, how much you've connected back to your authentic self, how much more you're accepting yourself, loving yourself. And that is such a huge thing. Like as people will realize when they go through the program, we've really been weaponized against ourselves, and we have to learn how to really start embracing loving ourselves again. And that in its own is a healer. And like
Yeah,
you say, ripples out. What the energy that you're in ripples out and impacts everybody that's in your life, right?
yeah, yeah. Because before, I mean, people would probably like stand away from you or not talk to you because they know that you're going to bite their heads off or be miserable or what I mean. But now I'm hoping I've completely flipped the coin now and I'm on the other side,
Yeah.
and I hope that it's impacting them now. I hope that they're so much better and forthcoming.
Yeah, and like you said, because you did say, like, yeah, you had a lot of anger and you would often project that onto other people, which is something that we do when
Yeah,
we're not aware of our own beliefs and wounds and stuff. As we've gone through this process and we're turning on the light and we're moving into presence and awareness and we're starting to heal those things, then now, like you said to me, you're no longer angry with people, you're no longer snapping at people. Obviously, we're all going to have our moments at times.
well, we all
Times.
we may have times, yeah, but
But
not to the extent where I were before. No,
right.
completely different,
It's not the
completely different,
dominant.
and
It's not the dominant
yeah,
side anymore.
no,
Uh,
no, not at all. No,
so okay, so one thing. So let's move on then to the final question then, just to sort of discuss. So obviously we can see so many positive impacts, and we know through epigenetics. I can't remember if I've mentioned this, so apologies if I have, but we know through epigenetics, through science, that which really is just starting to prove something that we have known holistically for a long time, that the body has its own intelligence, that the body can heal itself, and that our internal environment, the way we think, feel, believe ourselves to be, if we've got negative thoughts going on, it actually creates dis-ease in the body. So changing that is going to start to shift us physically. It's just a bit of a lag between changing the inner and the outer. And we know, like, you've lost a stone, you've improved your diet. There's so many things that you've done that we can see that the way your inner world is, it's completely done a 360, right? It's completely shifted. But let's talk about the physical. Let's talk about the medical indicators, because obviously we also are going to be tracking these medical indicators. We want to see physically as well that what's shifting, and we want to start to track how that starts to manifest into the physical world. So during our time together, round about 8 weeks into the program, halfway through the program, you had a MS scan to check how your MS was progressing. Now, I think what you said to me, it'd been 18 months since you had one.
yeah, yeah, because for whatever reason I kept putting it back and changing the dates, and eventually I rang up to see if they'd forgotten me, and then and suddenly I managed to get an appointment. But whatever. But it was 18 months um, from my last scan, and we have an MRI scan with contrast dye, which should show any new or active or new lesions, they call
Yeah.
them. So when we had the scan, I had to wait for about another two weeks for the results to come back, and they said that there's no progression, there's no new lesions from 18 months ago,
Right. So
which
obviously,
is a bonus. Yeah, which
right,
is a bonus,
right.
absolutely.
And obviously, we were like, we wanted to say it's gone back. Obviously, that's what we want.
Yeah,
But when we talked about it, we were like, well, actually, if we think about this in reality, in truth, although I hate to say that word reality because our reality is not the true reality, but if we think about that in truth and we think, well, it's been 18 months and the MS that you've been diagnosed with is supposed to start curving quite steeply. So actually, in those 18 months, it's likely that it started to curve up. And we've actually, if there's no change, then actually in our minds, in my mind, I think it's actually fair to say it started to go backwards.
yeah,
So
because we expected some sort of a change, but to have
I,
no change is a backward step. Yeah,
and that, having done the program for 2 months, is mass, and it's testament to you diving into it as well, because you could just come to the session, have a session, and then forget about the session for the 2 weeks in between. But you didn't. You did what I
yeah,
asked you to do, and that's testament to you. So I think actually the results are actually really positive, and it's a really good indicator. I feel so sure that this MS is going to be reversed. But obviously, like I said to you, Andy, I can't guarantee that because I'm not, because every soul has their own contract with the divine, which we do speak
yes,
about. However, I'm pretty optimistic that you chose the higher timeline. You definitely chose a higher timeline. You know, what I said to you was, whilst I can't guarantee it, it's totally possible, massively possible, if it's meant to be for you, if you take these steps. And but the worst case scenario is you're going to improve the quality of life and you're going to feel so much better. And I think it's safe to say that that has happened.
we're already there. Yeah, we're already there. Yeah, the physical on my arm, obviously, that's the first kind of indicator.
Yeah.
Um, but like you said, there's a bit of a time lag, and there's a little, it's taken this long to get this
Yeah.
far, this bad. So it could take equally as much to go the opposite way.
Yeah.
But if even if we get a 50% increase in mobility and stuff, that's absolutely fantastic because
Right.
they've written everybody off at MS. Well, you've got MS, so that's it, game over.
Right.
But on the other bit that goes hand in hand with that is the mental bit, and
Yeah.
that's worth twice the amount
Yeah.
to the physical,
Well,
definitely. Because
that's,
yeah, all right, so you might have a physical disability, but as long as we keep up there,
and actually, like you say, rather than, you could have spent the last half a year just not living your life, right, and being depressed
yeah,
and
yeah,
impacting everyone in your life. But instead you've completely changed. You're not, in fact, one of the other physical indicators is you've come off your antidepressants, right?
yeah, yeah. About beginning of August, I stopped taking them because I was feeling so good
Yeah.
inside that
Yeah.
I felt that I didn't need to have the tablets anymore because they didn't do anything really.
Right. So that shows how much you've changed your inner landscape. And the truth is as well, whilst, like we've talked about these before, these medications, whilst they might give the appearance of maybe helping you cope, and maybe they do for a short period of time, a lot of people never get off them, or what happens is they end up in a cycle because they don't deal with the root causes, because they just got a pill
No,
that numbs it out, and then when they think I'm getting better, they come off it, and then the root cause haven't been dealt with, so boom, they're back into another cycle, and they continue on that cycle for life. And there is real side effects to these pills, and there's going to be a lot coming out about this in the future, and I think a lot of people are going to be pretty shocked about it, but not to go into that. So I think it's so positive to know that you've come off those pills and now you're self-regulating your own mood.
yeah, yeah, it's right. It's just a sticking plaster. They do help you, but people call them happy pills, but they don't make you happy
No,
at all.
no. Yeah, right.
you know, no, they don't. They don't. I can vouch for that. They absolutely don't.
No,
But
no.
what they do allow you is to try and sort out your life so that it is better and you don't need them. But we've already done that, so
Right. It gives you a respite, I guess. But I guess that exactly the point I'm making is if you don't actually change anything, then you're just going to be back in that cycle.
You will just be in the same hole you were in before.
Right. So I think the initial result, I mean, apart from the fact that, you absolutely change your life, you feel it, every time we talk, I'm so happy that you said yes to this process and that we've worked together. And obviously, when we go through this program, I am doing this trial because I want to, my intention is to show that through your body's divine intelligence, through the soul, through the divine, through the God source, divine spark, that if we work and we get out of our own way, right? We actually, as the human part of us, it's the human part of us job to give the other parts of us what it needs to heal, to give it that space to heal, that you can actually heal most diseases and illnesses. But regardless, you're gonna improve the quality of your life, and that is massive. That is massive,
It
right?
is absolutely.
And obviously, we're
It
going to,
is.
if you come into this program, like Andy, we're connected now, and I'm going to obviously keep in touch with you, Andy. We're going to, obviously, it's a long time between your neck. I guess you get your next scan might be another 18 months potentially.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully not, but yeah,
Hopefully
hopefully
not.
less than that. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So obviously, what we're going to do is we're going to keep in touch anyway, and we're going to obviously keep a track of your results. And I feel optimistic that one day we're going to be doing another video, and I'm going to be saying, "Boom!" We're going to be celebrating and saying it's gone. Right?
We don't know when, yeah, but we don't know when, but yeah,
We're
absolutely.
optimistic.
It'd be brilliant. Wouldn't it be cool though? Yeah,
Would
so
be
cool.
absolutely amazing. And you're on the right path. And like I said to you, Andy, you're doing everything you can do in your power. Now it's up to the divine. The divine is always going to come and meet you right halfway. You do your bit. You're doing your bit as the human part of you, and the divine does its bit. So I think you've created some massive new healthy habits. I'm getting a shiver now down as well. So you've created some massive new healthy habits. You're embracing life again. You're looking at life with optimism. You're
Yeah,
doing things. You're not allowing that diagnosis to stop you living your life. And you're adjusting, right? And
no,
accepting that my body right now needs more kindness, more love, more time, it's overriding that program that tells us we've got to go all the time, to allow yourself to connect
yeah,
back to the nature and the natural rhythm of the body, which is what you're doing. You're resetting your health.
yeah, yeah, because I have been doing that. I do listen to what you say.
I know. More so. Like I say, you always like. I'm so grateful that you were one of you are the first person in the trial. So I'm so grateful that you said yes, because like every client that I work with, I grow as a therapist as well as a person. It's like this. It's a partnership, and I'm just so grateful that you said yes, and I'm so grateful for you doing this interview. And like you say, hopefully this is going to reach people, and they're going to see the journey that you've taken. And it's good. We talked about this, right? We talked about the fact that every soul has a mission. Every soul has a purpose when they're here. We've all got a purpose, and often these illnesses are triggers into our purpose and our mission as well. So just talking about that before we finish, you've really started connecting to the MS Society, being a bit of a spokesperson. Is that right?
Yeah, I filled out the MS Trust sent me a questionnaire ages ago. And at the end of it, it just said if they need to contact you for further details or an interview, would you be interested? And I said, yeah. Well, that was ages ago. Anyway, the other day, they sent me an email and asked me if I would still be okay to do that.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had a Zoom call for about 20 minutes, and we went through pretty much what we've been through today, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're going to publish that. It's going to help other people, but
Right. So
I can't do any more than that. I can't do
well,
any more than mine.
exactly. So it set you on a new road, hasn't it? It set you on a new path.
Yeah,
So there's so much, as we started to realize, there's so much gold that can be found as we develop a disease or illness, in terms of then it takes us back into a place of reconnecting back to ourselves and actually discovering new things about ourselves, which are really positive and exciting.
Yeah, yeah. Because I'd seen, what was it, on Facebook? Facebook. I can't remember the word. On Facebook, a part of the MS Society and all that sort of thing on there. We hear horror stories from people who've got MS. And I
Right.
thought, I don't want to be one of them people. You know, I know it has to happen to somebody, but not me.
Right. You chose not me, and also you've used it as well to exactly that, to actually look to make things better for other MS sufferers, right? You've got in touch with local politicians. You've been like, how can
Yeah,
I, you've been looking at giving feedback. How can they make life better for other people that have suffered? So it's really
yeah,
sent path.
yeah, yeah. Just before the election that we've just had,
Yeah.
um, yeah, the MS Society and some other of the MS people asked me if I would be willing to speak with our local MPs and ask them if they would voice the MS uh, disabilities, I suppose,
Yeah.
in Parliament when they went in, and they all said yes. They
Yeah.
all said yes, they would represent us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean,
even if it helps just a couple of people, it's got to be well worth doing that.
exactly. And I think this is just the beginning. I think the choice you've made, and I think basically you came to a node point. We have these points in our life called node points, the destined points on our path, and we have a choice to make. Do we take the path we've traveled all the time that'll keep us looping, or we're going to take a new path, which means moving out of our comfort zone? And you had to move out of your comfort zone, and you chose that. You chose your destined path, as far as I'm concerned. And I feel like you're gonna help a lot of people from taking that step. I think together we're going to help a lot of people from doing this process that we've done together. So let's say to viewers, watch this space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Help yourself. Yeah,
I so
help us to help you. Yeah.
exactly. So is it so before we end, is there anything you want to say about the program before we finish?
I'll just check my notes. Just 1 second.
No props.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I would definitely recommend the course to everybody because it's just a fantastic thing to do, and it's 4 months, but at the end of that, it's the start of a new journey for you,
Yeah.
because there's so much other things that it leads into. If you're that way inclined, like me,
Yeah.
who wants to follow guidance from your soul. You want to know who your soul is. Maybe your soul's name. That's another thing, but that's further down the line.
Yeah.
There's so much other things.
Well, Andy, just what you're saying that, because you obviously know that I started doing some training, some Akashic Records training, which allows us to go in and do soul readings, basically. And I'm going to be in Costa Rica at the end of this year doing my level 2, which means after that, so watch this space, I'll be able to do soul readings for people where, you'll be able to ask questions and we'll be able to go into your own soul's records and actually receive
Mhm.
about your purpose, clarity on your purpose, your mission. But that's a whole new video that I'll be releasing anyway. So watch out for that on my YouTube as well, in case you're interested. But I'm sure that we're going to end up doing one of those together.
I will be. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I'm thinking it'd be a nice thing to add on to the end of the program, right? To finish with a soul reading.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Get
Straight,
it
yeah.
out. Get it out there. Yeah, get it out there.
Well, and thank you so much for one, suggesting this, and then two, taking the time to do it as well. I do think it's going to help a lot of people. I'm so grateful. And obviously, we're going to keep in touch, and we'll just leave it there.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you.
So thank you for watching that interview. If you've got to this point, then you're likely interested, or perhaps you've got a family member that would be interested. So if you want to find out more about the program in terms of how it's actually structured and when it's going to start, because I'm actually looking to run a group program, which I'm looking for people to register by sort of as early in December as possible, because we'll start some pre-live session work at that point. So if you are interested and you want to know actually how is it, I mean, I also do one-to-ones as well. There's 2 options of working with me through this trial. So if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about how the program is structured, how much the program costs, what's involved in terms of your time, etc., then you can email me at info@schange.co.uk. And I can then send you that additional information, and you'll find my email address as well in the description below. So thank you.